I'm Jerry Purvis for StoreHerald.com, and you're listening to Table Talk. Our guest today is George Holthus, Chief of Police for the City of Gearing. Thank you for joining us this morning, George.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Good morning.
Good morning. To start with, tell us some about your background and how you got into the law enforcement business.
I have been a police officer since October of 1987, and it was something that I was always drawn to later in high school years and through college. So then that seemed to be the natural spot where I was being drawn to, and during that time I've held a variety of roles, from investigations to patrol functions, and currently I am the Chief of Police for the City of Gearing.
Okay, what is your philosophy on law enforcement, how it should be done, and how has the public perception of policing changed over the years?
My perception is that we're all stakeholders in the community, and we all have a role to play in a successful community, and everybody should have input and suggestions and be part of those solutions. So my basic philosophy is we're just like the citizens. We're part of this community. We live and work here, and we want it to be the best for our family, and therefore I want it to be the best for everyone else's family. Mm-hmm. The perceptions of law enforcement have changed considerably. You know, when I first started, it was a profession that was respected and honored, and people trusted it. And over time we've seen, especially in the larger areas, I think they've seen a deterioration of that trust. And so it's incumbent on all of us to work to rebuild that nationwide.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how has law enforcement changed over the years, and how has technology improved how your department is able to do its job?
Well, certainly technology has been a huge a resource for law enforcement, from cold case investigations through the more technical, internet-based crimes, where we're able to do things with technology that, when we started, cell phones were not even a thing, Mm-hmm. And then at some point they became a commonplace thing for our on-call people that had to work investigations on weekends, things like that. And so technology has brought some wonderful things to law enforcement. At the same time, it has brought some undesirable things or portions to law enforcement. We see the sexting crimes and those kind of things that we never had to deal with when I started this career.
Are you seeing an increase in online crimes, even in small areas like here?
I think nationwide that's a trend, yes, sir.
Okay. So how is the Gearing Police Department divided up by divisions, and what are some of the duties that each of you do?
Right. So we have two administrative staff. That's myself and Captain Jason Rogers. And we're the folks that make sure that the officers have everything they need to do their job safely, from their vehicles to fuel to all the equipment they wear on their uniforms. So that's what Captain Rogers and I do. We have two clerical support staff that help us with clerical duties, reports, things like that. And then we have 18 officers that work or 18 sworn police officers. Two of those will be investigators, which will help us with the longer or the more detailed investigations, things that require more follow-up than a patrol officer can work on. And then we have 9 people that work patrol. And so those are the folks that answer the calls for service every day that the community needs to talk to a police officer. Those are the folks that are doing that important work for us.
Okay, so a position didn't exist when I was in high school, school resource officer.
That's right.
That's just a recent position that's been added. What caused the need for that, and how has that been working out in the schools?
It's been working out very well. Our relationship with the schools, that is such a large segment of our population, and I think nationwide law enforcement felt we could do a better job of reaching out to that population and interacting with them in a positive way. And so that's what the school resource officers do, is they're in those school buildings, developing relationships and working with those young people every day. And again, the results, and I think everyone from the school district to the teachers to the police department and our folks feel that that's been a very positive thing.
Okay, so how is law enforcement the same, and how is it different than in larger cities?
Well, you know, my entire career has been with Gearing Police Department, so I don't know that I can really speak to it. I know I can speak to what I have heard from colleagues and those kind of things. You know, in a smaller community, the law enforcement officers are kind of the generalists. They deal with everything from code enforcement and zoning issues clear through the serious crimes. And a lot of times in the bigger cities, they're more structured to where they work specific details, whether it be violent crime or robbery and those kind of things. So officers from a smaller community have an experience of all of those things and quality of life issues.
Okay, then what are some of the more common complaints and issues that your department has to deal with?
You know, surprisingly, we deal with a lot of the quality of life issues, the code enforcement, zoning type things, all the way through young people that are not cooperating with their parents and not doing the things that maybe mom and dad feel like they need to do, all the way through more serious things, burglaries, people breaking into vehicles that are parked on the streets, all the way up through, you know, the more serious crimes.
We've had a few of those in the past.
Absolutely.
But, all right, so one of the things that's common to the job, like being in the military as well, is stress. It's always a concern for first responders who have to deal with, once in a while, with just horrific incidents and seeing people a lot of times on their worst day. So how is that handled in the department?
You know, I think a key part of that is realizing that is something that we have to deal with. The City of Gearing has a employee assistance program, which is basically a counseling relationship that's pre-established through the city and a relationship with a counselor. And so as department heads and co-workers and colleagues, if we see somebody who we feel is experiencing some of those kind of things that would be of concern, we certainly make sure that those referrals and those connections are made if that's something that the employee wants to take advantage of. As a profession, I think law enforcement has done a better job of realizing that we have to do a better job on that. We have to do a better job of taking care of our people that are taking care of our communities.
Mm-hmm. All right. And City Council the other night talked about the new Facebook page the city is putting up. How will the police department help with that?
Well, we felt that a couple of our clerical staff or our clerical team members had the ability and the technical knowledge to be a resource to the city. And in the City of Gearing, what we try to do is if there's a problem, whoever can bring a solution or a possible solution to the table offers that up. And then we see what works and what doesn't work. And so this was just a part of the City of Gearing's process of teamwork that, you know, we had a problem. We needed to develop or start a Facebook page. You know, that's a fairly minor problem, but it was still something we were dealing with. And we, the police department, had the resources to possibly answer or help with that problem. So the two of our clerical staff have stepped up and are willing to do that. And certainly it's incumbent upon the rest of all the department heads and the other city employees to give them relevant information and pictures and all those things that are noteworthy and newsworthy. And then they'll put it out there and keep the page current and something that people will tune into.
What is it that you like about policing in Gearing?
You know, I basically grew up in Gearing, and it's been home. And so for me, it's about keeping that quality of life that I was lucky enough to experience doing the best I can with my organization to keep that quality of life so other people have the same pride in the community that I have.
So how can the public help the police to do a better job? I've seen neighborhood watches is one possibility. What are some of the other things that people can do?
You know, I think a big part of it is pay attention and be neighborly to their neighbors. Know who your neighbors are. Know what their schedules are. You know, if you have an elderly person in your community and you have the time, help them with their yard work or their driveway or those kind of things. And just be a neighbor and be the kind of person you would want your mother or father to live next to, you know, if that would be the circumstance. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us this morning, George.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
I'm Jerry Purvis for StarHerald.com, and this is Table Talk.